one disclaimer actually, and one slight correction in terms of the data that in terms of job loss that happened during COVID. The main factor was that most of most of the labor class that works in the industry comes from Punjab here. And then when there were restrictions for inter-provincial movement, transport, therefore there was some uh, some lag. Actually, it was not lost because I had interaction with almost all, because I was part of the committee which was working on the COVID impact on industries, and we ensured that minimal job losses happen here. With this said, this presentation, although here it's written it's Board of Investment, but it would highlight some of the activities that we are doing at various level, and I'm part of that, and also some of the facts and assumptions that are of my own. So, with this said, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that despite these uncertainties about the global economy due to COVID, government is finding ways and means and improving its ability to sell domestic products, goods, and services on global market. I also believe that Pakistan is building greater resilience for enacting fiscal reforms, and I would briefly touch upon them later in my slides also. By enacting fiscal reforms and enhancing exports competitiveness, I also believe that government is working, and I'm part of the work that is being done in terms of leveraging CPEC and CAREC. And Ma'am Shandana Guzar spoke about it a little earlier about how to benefit from these initiatives and regional connectivity. I think Pakistan and the government of Pakistan is cognizant of this fact that and along with BRI, it's great opportunity for us, and we want to benefit not in just in terms of having industry or investment in Pakistan, but also in terms of exporting good and connecting ourselves to China's supply chain and later to global supply chain. The government also values the importance of ease of doing business, and therefore our performance in that area has not been too bad. And we are also working on development and political policy work that helps this, and we will be also discussing this little later. But as if I wear my academian cap, I also believe that in this modern era and increasing competitiveness, we need to develop the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship while embracing the importance of artificial intelligence. I was in BOW Forum, and while they were talking about avatars and how to benefit from fifth industrial revolution, we were uh, short of what we wanted to project. And also, I believe that if I talk of CPEC only, and if I assume that it would be completed in 2030, that would perhaps be the time that China would have 6G. So the speed of doing work and speed of trade and export and import would be about 1,000 times faster than what it is today. So this will be a challenge, and this should be addressed on priority. And KP, what we are doing is that we are doing a lot of work on our pitch for investment. And in this pursuit, we have actually the government has actually approved industrial policy, commerce and trade strategy, which identifies new market and explores areas through which we can generate export competitiveness, and also leverage from our strategic location, and perhaps make it from a disadvantage to an advantage case study. And also, just recently we did a conference on export outreach for rice, meat, poultry, fruit and vegetable, and spices. And this is just a point that I want to highlight, that we are working on area and finding new markets and new products through which government can actually improve its exports and generate. What we are looking at, and this is perhaps at a national level, but also at KP, what we're looking at is integrating from a national level, from having a rural-urban synergy. And if you follow, the development work that is being done in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, you would find that we're trying to create the rural-urban synergy. And working on new urban and peri-urban areas. And with this development, and I think Naya Pakistan Housing Scheme is also contributing in that, we are perhaps working on a logistic and enhanced transportation structure. From there, we would integrate into and again benefiting from CAREC and CPEC and perhaps KP Economic Corridor. We want to connect to the Central Asian Republic, Gulf State, Iran, and also the other partners and perhaps destinations, which I would be again speaking a little. And then from there, if we connect to China's supply chain, from there we can actually enter the global market and improve our competitiveness. And I think there, when we compare ourselves with Bangladesh and India, and I would be speaking about this, I find uh, my research, which I did just recently on the ease of doing business indicator, I found Pakistan out of 10, out of 9 areas, I found Pakistan performing better in 7. It was just in productivity and one other, in which perhaps the security aspect, in which Pakistan was slightly lower in terms of the numbers, but otherwise Pakistan is doing fairly well, and I think we understand the importance of benefiting and taking this advantage. So what are we looking at in terms of crafting incentives so that our exports or investment here? Because since I represent Board of Investment, KP Board of Investment, and the government of KP, I would be a little selfish to actually bring in investment wherever I can in the discussion that we will have. So the incentive that we are crafting, what we're trying is to have efficiency, and this should achieve objectives that we have set, and it should be based on performance and it should be based on evaluation. We are looking for new setup, expansion, and revival in priority industries, and this industry would definitely, especially in our economic zone, Rashakai, which is with groundbreaking for which is scheduled just shortly. We will have, inshallah, new technologies, export-led industries, and perhaps also labor-intensive industry, because job creation is one of the main goal of the government. We are also trying that our incentives are not discriminatory, or it's offered to everyone. It should be backloaded rather than front-loaded, because here the cost of land is quite high, and naturally it has to be regionally competitive. So what are our goals in terms of enhancing export potential is to export goods and services naturally. And please bear with me with some slides which you all know, but I just want to build a case for what Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or at least the government here, is doing. Increase foreign direct investment and increase foreign remittance. And for that, because naturally human resource and exporting HR is also one of the cases. So I like this slide and I use it wherever I get a chance. What I believe is that, and as Den Shopping said, it does not matter if a cat is black or white as long as it catches me. So our policy work, it has to be fast, it has to actually achieve the objectives, and it has to actually be based on certain evaluation. Unless we do not do that, even in our inspections, what we're trying to, and what I'm trying, and along with my leadership, both political and administrative, is doing is to actually bring in risk-based inspection, so that uh, we have certain criterias. We cannot offer everything and ease, in terms of creating the ease of doing business, offer everything and perhaps meet the expectations. What we're trying to do is that in terms of GSP plus and other initiatives that are on our way, try to benefit from that. So our priority areas are, and I'm sure anyone who would speak about Pakistan, and I'm sure Ministry of Commerce would represent here, these are some of the areas that we have highlighted. Please do not question this slide because of the fact that I might have missed few, because this slide is basically catered for KP. So these are our areas, and this is what we are doing, uh, and these are the countries that we have identified as our top 10 countries for additional exports. We have even gone to certain numbers, but I did not highlight that intentionally here, because that might perhaps end up with barrage of questions. We did our analysis on the industrial units that are available, and this was perhaps done at a time when we were working on COVID-19 and trying to actually work on doing this mapping and cataloging that, so the incentives could be offered and made sure. These are our special economic zones. I'll skip this slide because you would know, but I would just like to highlight some of the additional work that we did because of COVID, despite the challenges we had, and also what State Bank and the federal government was doing. So some of the initiatives and reform work, because unless we do not bring in reforms, our export competitiveness, and especially for a place like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, perhaps would not increase. So we have gone digital in terms of KP of official business portal. We have set up service delivery centers, and these slides are actually highlighting our achievements in terms of ease of doing business. We have reduced and even eliminated tax in priority area like tourism, and also supporting the SME sector. But what I just want to highlight is that as we speak, my office is actually mapping all the regulations, licenses, certifications, and others for department attached formation. We have completed for 160 regulation, and now we're in the phase of analysis. And based on this, we would set up an action plan, which would be and setting up responsibilities so that actual ease of doing business in terms of export competitive business. Wakar, just give me 2 more minutes to highlight a few other areas which are important for us. What we did in this exercise, and I am just showcasing some, because naturally there were others that we worked on. We worked on naturally our areas for export, and the zone that we have is less. So we worked on cement and identified the surge or otherwise in the export. So we did our research on cement. We did our research. Yeah, on tobacco, and there was surge and export of tobacco. We did our research on gemstone because that's also an area, and we actually forwarded our recommendations on all these areas. I'm just trying to showcase. Did our research on marbles, and actually marble sector, and gave our recommendations. I'm just highlighting those recommendations which perhaps could generate some discussion here. And you know we did our research on IT sector, and I was surprised to see that during COVID, our export of IT products and services there was a surge in that, and perhaps we were able to see around 330 million worth of industry. And the other good thing, and which I would like to showcase, is that was the participation of female entrepreneurs in all this exercise, and we have set up our e-commerce council in which there is representation of female entrepreneurs who are working on e-commerce. And similarly, the other area that we want to really work on is on the medical tourism. I work with 2 hospitals which are actually hosting some patients from Afghanistan mostly, and I saw that there was a deep decline as far as, and this is one area where we worked on. So with this said, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to highlight that work is being done, and through economic outreach initiative, and also some of the other initiatives of the Ministry of Commerce, the provincial Ministry of Industry. What we need to, I think, do is perhaps synergize more, perhaps be more pragmatic in our approach, and I think we know the end state, and we know the requirement of Prime Minister Imran Khan. So with this said, I would also acknowledge, Bakar, your report, and I think it helps my work, and also perhaps other institutions which are working on economic outreach. Thank you very much.